Hello and welcome to this week's advanced guide looking at team setups and strategy for the Legacy of the Foefire. The Legacy of the Foefire is a very interesting map and it has a few major differences when you compare it to the other tournament maps. Firstly, the central point is very large and is positioned in a very strong location. Unlike Kylo or Niflhel where the central node is in its own area out of the way, on Legacy it is located in a major area of through traffic for the outer nodes and the bases. The bases are also very important as the secondary objective, the Guild Lord, is located there. The outer nodes are also unusual when you compare them to other maps. On most maps your back node is very close to your spawn, meaning that it's hard for the enemy to take it and hold it without getting zerged by players respawning. However, on Legacy they're located an equal distance from both teams' spawns. It's only the position of the base walls that dictates that the waterfall is the blue team's and the quarry the reds. For the sake of this episode, we're going to be discussing everything from the red team's perspective. For the blue team, you simply mirror image everything across. So first, a basic team setup. You have a near side bunker, a strong build able to handle itself while outnumbered. A guardian, for example, works great. Second, you have two midpoint defenders. The midpoint is really important on this map, and two strong bunkers here is a must to really be able to hold it. Lastly, you have two roamers supporting the middle and back nodes, and when the time is right, they can also push the far node. This setup is really simple. It doesn't push too hard on the enemy node and instead keeps itself well numbered for team fights on mid with the option of supporting the back node quite quickly. The weakness is that you leave yourself open to having your boss push from the waterfall and you don't have much mobility to fall back if that does happen because of your slow bunkers. Now a more mobile build. This allows you to still dominate in team fights, fall back when needed and push the enemy waterfall and base if desired. First, replace the mid bunker and back point defender with mesmers. These can use portals to move the other roamers around the map to attack and defend. The other two roamers should be something like warriors or thieves that need to have pretty high burst and also be fairly mobile even by themselves. Then you have a midpoint guardian bunker. This setup's strong. The mesmer portals can comfortably reach from the mid to the outer nodes to add some major mobility to the whole team. They can also be used to make very fast boss pushes. When the moment's right, the mesmer can portal their entire team quickly to the boss, and then the second mesmer can portal them back when the boss dies. This makes boss pushes a lot faster and a lot more secure. The reduced time players spend running from point to point also makes a massive difference in the team's map control. The next setup gives you a strong back foot and takes advantage of a distracted enemy. For this we take 3 bunkers, 2 on the mid and 1 on the back point. Then we put a mesmer roamer on the graveyard and a good hybrid roaming from quarry to mid. This gives you a very solid mid and back point defence. In team fights you're going to be playing the long game. Keep your enemy distracted. This gives your mesmer a chance to quickly slip out of the fight, neutralise the waterfall and portal back very quickly. They can even hit the enemy gate to actually scare the enemy into sending some people back, giving yourselves a numbers advantage on the middle node. The goal of this setup is to try and win before the enemy's score hits 350. At that point they can push your boss and this can be a problem if they bring a lot of damage. However, you should be able to hold both nodes effectively and neutralise the waterfall on a regular basis, meaning you should win by the time their score hits about 300. The weakness is of course if they go very DPS heavy. This can cause you to lose bunkers too often and the focus fire they can put on your boss will likely get it down seriously fast, and this setup you've got is not very mobile to fall back and defend. This next setup is all about pressure. You take the mobile setup from before, but we're going to change the positioning slightly. You have a bunker on mid and they're supported by a mesmer and roamer team. This team will also be defending the quarry using portals to hop between the two. A second roamer will support mid and push the far point whenever they can. The last player roams, but they push out towards the enemy base very often, causing the enemy to either fall back or lose their defences back there. If the enemy does fall back, it means less pressure on the nodes, meaning more likely you can triple cap them. If they decide not to fall back, it means that in the later game your team can make a very quick boss push at the 350 mark because they haven't got any defences there to stop you. This takes advantage of the notification system on the map, which pretty much yells at you when your base comes under attack. It works really well in hot drawing games against disorganised teams. It relies on the enemy sending more than one player back to defend, and this gives your team a numbers advantage in those team fights around the mid. This roamer pushing the base can be a number of professions, but mesmers or thieves work great as they can quickly escape and fall back before the enemy knows what's happened, and if they can fall back fast enough they can actually assist in the team fight, getting a quick kill and pushing home that numbers advantage even more. The final setup for today is all about numbers. You have 5 very mobile players. 1 or 2 should be playing Ellies with a dagger in the offhand to ride the lightning. This keeps them very mobile but makes them a little bit more tanky. Then you fill the rest of the slots with Mesmers and Thieves, perhaps even a Burst Warrior. They take control of the middle node at the start of the game and then zerg from there outwards, always bringing one more player than what the enemy has, but they fall back to the mid for defense and try to survive. So, for example, at the start of the game you rush the middle point. You check Quarry and Waterfall on the way there. There's no one at the Quarry, so the Mesmer quickly drops a portal on mid and rushes towards the Quarry. Your team now likely has a 4v1 or a 4v2 at mid, and you should win pretty quickly. They then zerg from there towards the Waterfall, entering a 4v4 or a 4v3 in the land between. By this time, the Mesmer who's been taking the Quarry has already capped it. They portal back to mid very quickly and then support the team fight, making this one at Waterfall now a 5v4 or a 5v3. Upon victory, one Ellie will stay at the Waterfall to cap it while the others fall back to mid. If they see someone rushing the Quarry, they send 2 players to quickly kill them and then fall back to help the others defend mid, and so on. Basically, it's all about being really mobile and communicating, always pushing home a numbers advantage. Of course, from time to time there will be even fights, but with good communication on this map you should never find yourselves outnumbered for very long with a team this mobile. The strengths of this build are all in calling targets and focusing them down very quickly to extend the numbers advantage in every single fight. Your elite skills should be used to really maximise this. Time Warp for the Mesmer is brilliant for this sort of play, and the Feed skill is also fantastic. So I hope you all enjoyed this look at team setups and tactics for the Legacy of the Foefire. If you have any tactics or tips, why not share them below? Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all on Monday with a brand new build guide.